So this is attempt number 2 to go through what I was able to do this past weekend because it was a long weekend as a result of Labor Day. I think I got a lot done. So obviously from here you can see that I was able to connect hosting. That was pretty straightforward. Just had some, because I'm using Firebase and then I got my domain from Google Domains, connecting hosting was really just updating some A records and CNAME records. That was pretty straightforward. Even when doing it with DreamHost or something else in the past, I haven't had many problems. So, I think at this point, any hosting service, makes the experience pretty easy. Finished the gameplay for the first game that I pulled over from React Native, which I'll go ahead and I'm going to create a game on this screen. I'm already logged in, but I'll show you how that goes. Game code. Let's see, it's just me. Oh, I need to sign in. See, I always forget this, which I guess it's good I added an error message. We'll join this game. And I think all of this gameplay up until the end I was already complete on. So I'll just show you that. So in this case, I think I showed this before, you can either keep playing or declare bingo. You keep playing, and the other user does not get a message. But if you were to click out and click in again, you can declare bingo here, then they do get a message saying that you declared bingo, and it shows the tiles. If you think that one of those is an error, you can reject this claim. For now, that's the only way that it occurs. And I should suppress this second modal here, so I do need to add that logic. That's one thing that I missed. But the user who initially declared bingo would then hit aw shucks, that would dismiss that modal, so you're fine. And they would have the opportunity to either declare bingo again or keep playing. So for time's sake, we'll just declare bingo again with the same tiles. And now if the user 2 accepts defeat, again, I need to suppress this modal recurrence, but then we end game here. So when a user is defeated, I should modify this so that it just says, game over, so-and-so won, and the button would be to leave the game and just navigate back to the home screen like this other one does. So I'll work on that. So that's one thing that I need to do this weekend that I didn't get done last weekend. Mostly I think it was just an oversight. But I got most of the gameplay done, which was a little bit more complex than I expected, just because using Hasura, you've got your Postgres table, but there's also a JSON field or a JSON field type that you can use for JSONB or JSON. And what I've found is structuring my games to where there's like a game data JSON field, and then based on the game type that might have different information, and likewise there's a player data field, which again based on the game type might have different information. Actually makes it really, really easy to connect to the subscription, have the same model for a game, but actually communicate different things within that model, different kinds of data. So it's almost like having one-to-one, or I guess many-to-one relationship, but it's a little more fluid. And in this case, because I haven't established necessarily all of the components of the game, it leads to a little bit smoother translation. Anytime I need to make modifications, I don't need to go and update a table and then update all my fields that I'm getting in my queries and mutations. So it's just like a one-stop update, and then I can solidify it later if I want. Got the server-side rendering taken care of with Cloud Functions, while still using Cloud Functions separately for some of the logic to join a game or anything else that I want to make sure is handled on the server, as opposed to just going through the client. So I can have some of that logic cleaner and safer. So let's go ahead and look at the server side, and I'll show you a couple things. So for one, if I look at, that's not what I want to do. If I view page source here, I'll be able to see that a lot of that content, like play free online bingo games, is generated server side. But you'll notice down here, under online games, I have a loading screen. So that's one thing that I didn't carry through to completion yet. And what, I forget if it's Asura or Svelte Apollo or even just Apollo itself, or Sapper, what they recommend, I think it is Sapper in this case, is that all the like querying that needs to take place for components within a set page that's server rendered occurs on that page. And so in this case, I have a component that I'm pulling in that has that query, and for that reason, I'm getting this loading screen or this loading message as opposed to the actual component itself just rendered from the server. Then I'll actually show the games right down here, which will be important for SEO, and also just because this is so fast. Everything being served from Google is so fast using Firebase and Cloud Functions. I'm not too worried about any delay, and a lot of this stuff can be cached for, I think, a pretty good while, because even the volume of games I might add of, let's say it's one new collection or game per week, that's a lot of potential time in between where a request can be cached and it will need to be updated. So I think there are a lot of pros there, so I'm going to have to modify that. But I got SSR for all the individual pages. So for example, even though you'll see a loading screen here as well, you'll see that H1, that header that says bingo, already rendered from the server. So again, same deal, because this is still being requested on the client as opposed to the server. I still have that loading, even though it's preloaded, so you don't necessarily see it. And then if we go into create game, I'm not going to worry about rendering server side, just because this is going to be unique to each individual game all the time. So it wouldn't make sense for a whole lot of reasons. But just to be clear on the goal here, basically just going to show this building your board screen server side. That's fine. I'm probably going to do a rel no follow anyway. And not probably, I'm going to do a rel no follow anyway. So that's something that I can take care of. So cool. So I got hosting, got SSR, and got the basic functionality for the games all set up. So that was pretty successful. Some of those were big hurdles, the SSR thing in particular. I hadn't done SSR with Firebase and Cloud Functions, as well as then keeping my other functions separate. I'm happy that even though that took some, good long bit of figuring out on my part for debugging and just looking through resources, I'm happy that worked out pretty well. There were a couple gotchas which I can go into in a different video if people have questions, but that wasn't bad. Got bingo game completed, and like I said, there are some bugs there I need to fix. No big deal, I will fix them. Pretty happy with that. But what I do need to do this weekend is, you see how terrible mobile is. I just did not even regard mobile. I put this in here with the idea that I'm gonna throw in whatever menu items I've got, and I just had not spent any time working on mobile yet, other than basic Flexbox handling that I knew I wanted. So now that I've got a better idea here, and this I probably could have just done out of the box, but I didn't. I'm going to fix the header, and I'm going to look at the layout for the game itself. So I'm going to actually see if I can rejoin this game. Cool. So I'll show you what happens on the game board, and this is why I haven't given much thought to mobile yet, because I know it's one of those big issues. So even on a tablet-sized screen, I've got these issues that are unresolved. And that's because I'm not sure how I want to handle this yet. So if I go over here and inspect, and now I'm looking at like an iPhone 6, 7, 8 size. You know, I'm not sure if Google is going to be okay with these tiles being so close together. They might. That might be all right. That text might be okay in size. This is something where once I deploy it, I have to check on my phone. But what I also don't have is the sideboards for my competitors. So what I'm thinking I'll do is have maybe tabbed usernames at the bottom here. And if that person has close to bingo, then they'll get a similar treatment where their name will either be outlined in that blue ring or um, it'll end up having like a different color background, and then the player can click on the name, see what that board looks like, and then just X out of the mobile or the drawer that pops up with it. I think that would be fine, and that also leads me to future features where I'll have some action cards that users can play offensively or defensively, ones where they could maybe scramble another player's board, give themselves a free space somewhere, and just a couple other options to make the game a little bit more interesting and interactive. So because I know that's down the line, I'm really just kind of working one foot at a time here and trying to take care of the most pressing issue with the understanding that if I change the fundamental structure of something, I'd rather have very little resting on that structure just to make it a little bit quicker. So this weekend, again, fix some of the mobile on basic layouts, consider mobile for bingo, probably go ahead and make those changes, but we'll see. I'm going to convert FastLibs, the first game I put on React Native, from React Native to now Svelte, which will have some challenges, but hopefully will be mostly straightforward. I'm going to create some additional content because I want to create another bingo board here and just give the user multiple options so it's not just online meeting bingo, but maybe bingo for a different scenario, which I think I'm going to start with like workplace happy hour bingo or something like that, online happy hour bingo. So I'm going to think about it. I might keep with the work theme, going to keep with the online theme, and we'll see where we go from there. All right, that's all for now.